Welcome to CBS Sports HQ. This is Game Day Recap. I'm Tommy Trent in for Haley Sutton, who by now I'm hoping is enjoying some Spanish tapas, some sangria. She was out covering the Dolphins win over the Commanders in Madrid, Spain, and we'll hear from Haley coming up later in the show. We had, 9 lead changes in Western New York as Buffalo takes care of Tampa Bay in a high-scoring game. And then in the 4 late afternoon window games, 3 of them within 1 score. The one in Arizona had a record set, but in a losing effort. But we do start with a Mile High City where our NFL Today crew was there all day long. I've got my crew with me here, Damien Harris, Rand Carthon, and Pete Prisco to talk about the AFC West showdown that went the Broncos' way. And everything pointed to Kansas City, the spread, the record, the bye week that Andy Reid comes off of, Pete. And yet it was Denver coming away with it at the end. Yeah, and look, a lot of people, myself included, have doubted the Broncos at certain times during the season. And all they do is keep on winning. And so at some point, you got to sit there and say, you can't doubt them anymore. They win with defense. It's not pretty. They run the ball. They're creative. Bo Nix makes plays in the fourth quarter. It's the same formula week in and week out. And at some point, myself, I'm going to sit here and say it, it's time to give the Broncos their flowers. They deserve it. They've earned the right to get credit for what they've done. It's not pretty. Do you think they're going to win the Super Bowl? Most people would probably say no. But at times, defense travels, and in the playoffs, defense is really good if you have it and you can go on the road and win games. So give them the credit.
Well, I'm just going to say, Jack, get the producer, Jack, get the hot sauce.
I think you read my mind, man. You read my mind.
No, I haven't. Moment for Pete Prisco to eat his words. It's not yet. We're not there yet.
Make sure it's some Pistol Pete, too.
No. Yeah, we just make sure we have the hot sauce close by. But for me, it's this Broncos team. Just keep it close to the fourth quarter, and they're going to find a way to win it. That's what the formula, like Pete said, has been all year. And we head scratch watching these games with Bo Nix. And it's like, all right, which version's going to show up? We know there's the quarters 1 through 3 version of Bo Nix. Then we have the fourth quarter. And the big thing for him today, he didn't turn the ball over. He himself didn't put the ball in the paint. However, he didn't turn the ball over, and that is what typically allows the other team to stay in the game is when he turns the ball over. So another good day for this Broncos team. Vance Joseph and his defensive unit, they are the linchpin of this entire team, and you just expect for those guys to make plays up front.
Yeah, I respect everything these two gentlemen said. I mean, you laid it out perfectly. The Broncos just find a way to win, and similar to the Philadelphia Eagles early in the season, we just kept giving them credit because they would always find a win. Well, obviously, we've got to do that for the Denver Broncos, but I want to turn attention to the Chiefs because we all know the Chiefs are in panic mode, if you will, right now. And when I watch this game, I'm noticing a trend. And I'm not going to sit up here and make excuses for Patrick Mahomes because he's not playing well, particularly himself. But when I look at the stats, week after week, it's 40 rushing yards, 50 rushing yards, 45 rushing yards. The Chiefs have not gotten anything out of their run game since Isaiah Pacheco broke his leg and hasn't been the same player since. They've been trying to lean on a guy in Kareem Hunt who is at the end of his career, and he's just not producing. I mean, today he had 13 carries for 59 yards and a touchdown, but these aren't the consistent numbers that you need to see to have a complementary run game to Patrick Mahomes and what he wants to do in the pass game. And then on top of this, I thought Travis Kelce played his best game all year. 9 catches for 91 yards, a touchdown, 10 yards of reception. When you've got a team full of Tyquan Thornton, Hollywood Brown, Rashee Rice, and then a burner in, the burner is Tyquan Thornton. You've got all these opportunities and these weapons. Travis Kelce, at the end of his career, should not be your leading receiver. So again, I don't want to paint this picture that Patrick Mahomes has no help, but offensively, there's just nothing going right. And especially for Patrick Mahomes, there's nothing for him to rely on.
So there's something I think that's interesting, what you said, which was the backfield with Isaiah Pacheco, who hurt his leg last year. And then this year, Pete, I think I've asked you this question before early in their season. Why haven't we been able to see, with a healthy Pacheco and a Kareem Hunt, have the rushing effect that we anticipated for this Kansas City Chiefs team?
Well, I think you started to see it when Pacheco was healthy. And at the end of that, before he got hurt again, he started making plays in the run game. And they started to run the football. Early on, the offensive line, I'll be honest with you, guys on the inside, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, high-priced guys, didn't play that well. Well, they've started to play well. And they started to run the football, and then Pacheco got hurt. Now, look, we can point to the run game all we want. Today was a little bit about the quarterback, too. Let's be real. The quarterback had 3 shots to open the game. 3. And every single one of them was wide open, and he missed them. And you're Patrick Mahomes, you hit those on the road, one of those goes to the house, you set the tone for the game. He missed them. And then he threw that bad interception, which you can't throw in that situation with a chance to go ahead. So we all praise Patrick Mahomes when he's at his best. Today he wasn't at his best, and I think some of that really lies on his right arm. He didn't play very well.
I mean, and not to mention, they only ran the ball 14 times today. 13 by the back, 1 by Patrick Mahomes. Like, that is not a winning formula for winning football games, especially in a game that was close, right? It was 19-19 all the way throughout, and then they kicked the field goal as time expired. And so for me, and this Chiefs offense, you need that offense. They don't have to go out and rush for 140 yards, 150 yards a game, but it's them having the ability to stay ahead of the chains, the ability to use the play action and make it effective to open up things not only downfield, but on those deep crossers that they like to use Xavier Worthy on, or those quick in-breaking routes for Travis Kelce. So they have to find a way. There are rumors that they were trying to be active at the trade deadline to go after a running back. I guess we'll never know at this point, but that is a position that they need to address moving forward.
Speaking of Worthy, because that was the guy that was on my mind when I was talking about the speedster, the burner to take the top off the defense. I mean, he's shown flashes at times. We see the speed, we see the explosiveness, we see that extra dimension that he gives the offense, but it's so inconsistent. We'll see him pop on 1 week and then he'll go quiet for 3 or 4 weeks, and it's just like, when is he going to figure it out and realize he's got to be Patrick Mahomes' #1 target and take that responsibility, take ownership of that, and become what Patrick Mahomes needs?
Are the Chiefs done? I mean, that's a legitimate question, right?
Well, I would tell you this note from a research team. Only 2 teams in NFL history have won a Super Bowl with a 500 record this late in the season. The 0-1 Patriots, who were 5-5, and the 2011 Giants, who were 7-7. Again, right now, Kansas City 5-5. On the outside looking in, looking up at L.A. and Denver in the standings. What do you guys think in terms of Pete's question of the Chiefs?
I would say it depends on what do you consider done.
They can make the playoffs?
There's a chance that they can make the playoffs because we talked about it coming in. I'm just not as high on this Chargers team, which we'll talk about later, but I'm just not as high on them, and I don't know that I would believe in them. So if I had to pick one of the 2 out of that division and make the playoffs at the 6 or 7 seed, I'll hedge my bet on the Kansas City Chiefs.
Agreed. If Kansas City has a chance, I think they've earned our trust to sit out there and say, I would expect them to get in the playoffs. As long as there's a chance. I mean, I know we can sit here and talk about Pat's not playing well. Offensively, they're not doing a lot of things well. Well, Patrick Mahomes is the man when it comes to the National Football League. Granted, I know he didn't win the Super Bowl last year, but again, he has been there almost every single year. So until he doesn't get there, I have to have confidence that if there's a chance, they'll get there.
I know we pivoted to the Chiefs, but I do want to get back to the Broncos. And Rand, I'm going to give you first word because you guys talk about, and I think there's a consensus here that, again, defense elite, offense inconsistent. And so, Rand, when you have a team 11 weeks now in the season, when there's been a theme, when there's been a narrative, when there's been a trend, what are some of the things you can do? J.K. Dobbins is obviously not going to be available for them down the road from a running back perspective, but how do you keep this offense going? What tweaks can be made?
Well, the tweaks are allowing Bo Nix to use his legs on a little bit more design stuff because now, and we talk about it all the time watching him, he doesn't really throw much from the pocket. They get him on the move, they get him on the edge and on the perimeter. And so I continue to allow him to use his legs and allow R.J. Harvey to get some touches, and you could be creative with his touches. You don't have to run him between the tackles consistently, but you also got to find another back behind him because missing J.K. Dobbins is going to be huge for them because he was off to a really good year before he got hurt.
Final word, Pete?
Look, they're going to be a playoff team. They're probably going to win the division. And when you get into the playoffs with that defense, we've seen it before. Denver won a Super Bowl once in the past with that dominant defense when Peyton Manning was at the end of his career. They can do it. So do I think they're going to do it? If you ask me right now, do I think the Broncos are going to win the Super Bowl? The answer to that question would be no. Do you?
No.
You?
I don't. But what I will say, piggybacking off your all's comments, it's the defense, but it's also if Bo Nix realizes how important it is just not to turn the football over. We can talk about adding depth in the backfield in the running game. Mm-hmm. We can talk about him using his legs more. We can talk about a lot of different X's and O's types of things. But when you have the defense that you have, Nick Bonito, Pat Surtain, the guys that get you the ball back, and then you take care of the football on offense, and you just make every possession end with a kick, whether it's a punt, whether it's a field goal, whether it's an extra point, the Broncos have as good of a chance as anybody.
To me, Bo Nix is going to have to be able to hit those throws down the field.
Yeah, the ones he misses.
And that's where the problem is going to come.
One quick thing about the Chiefs. We'll know more about them next week. They play the Colts coming off a bye at home. They got to win that game. They have to win that game or they're done.
Okay, we do need to hit a break here on CBS Sports HQ. When we return, a couple of the NFC's best teams went at it at SoFi Stadium. The Rams picked off Sam Darnold 4 times and still almost lost the game today. We'll discuss Seahawks-Rams next. Welcome back to Game Day Recap. We tackle this game, which had 2 teams enter the day 7-2 in the NFC West. Rams take care of the Seahawks, although it was close, came down to a kick. 49ers take care of the Cardinals in the desert as San Francisco, decimated by injuries, got their quarterback back in Brock Purdy. And we'll talk about both of these games and see where these guys feel about the NFC West after Week 11. But the playoff picture looks like this, where we have the 49ers in the hunt, but there could be a scenario in which they get 3 teams into the postseason. Other contenders include Carolina, Minnesota, and Dallas. Dallas still has to play their game against Vegas Monday night. So down at SoFi, this came close where the Seahawks intercepted Sam Darnold 4 times in this game and then still actually had a chance to lose the game with Jason Myers at the end. Dave, I'm going to give you first word in terms of what we saw today, specifically from Sam Darnold, who easily had his worst game as a Seahawk, let alone last time he was in that building for the Vikings in the postseason, was sacked 9 times.
Pete, should I say it?
Go ahead.
I mean, you are who you are. I mean, he proved
I've heard that before.
hey, I learned quickly from our guy, Pete Prisco, sometimes you just are what you are. And Sam Darnold, let's not get it mistaken. He is a good quarterback, but when he's been at his worst, he struggled with turnovers. That's what's plagued him in his career, when he's not seeing the field well, when he's not hitting the open receivers. And that's a lot of what we saw today. And we saw a lot of very ill-advised throws. We saw throws in a double coverage, triple coverage. His feet were never settled. He always had that deer caught in the headlights look. And it's hard to find a rhythm and get a rhythm going offensively and string together good plays when your quarterback is playing like that. Now, luckily, they have Jackson Smith and Jigba, who went for another 100 yards today. And, Kenneth Walker had a day on the ground, but it gave him a chance to win. But again, it's hard to win in the National Football League as it is, especially when your quarterback throws 4 interceptions.
Yeah, they didn't intercept him. He threw him right to their stomach. It was awful. That was as bad a quarterbacking as you'll see. I mean, it was terrible. And look, the Rams aren't the greatest secondary in the world. They've played better recently, but that was just an awful quarterback performance by Sam Darnold, and we've all sit here and waited for it.
Oh, we ain't been waiting.
You expected it. At some point this year, we sat here.
There we go, speaking.
I know. I was like, we didn't expect it. Maybe you did. Maybe you did.
I sit in the green room with you. You expected it too. I know what you're talking about.
Not him telling green room secrets.
Don't try and hide. Don't try and hide.
That's you throwing me under the bus.
Right, for no reason.
It had nothing to do with that.
That's a game when you look at the stats that the Seahawks should have won on the road. The Rams didn't do anything on offense. Just Matt Stafford threw for 130 yards. You're supposed to win that game. And yet they didn't, because Sam Darnold turned the ball over 4 times. And at the end of the game, the clock management by the Seattle Seahawks was awful. I mean, you had 2 timeouts, and they completed a pass with 47 seconds. The play started with 47 seconds, and they didn't call timeout. And the clock ran down to 22 seconds. The time was more valuable than the timeout, and they allowed it to get underneath that. They almost took a timeout back to Seattle with them, which would have been a disaster, and they ended up trying a long field goal thanks to a pass interference penalty. So the clock management was bad, but more than anything, Sam Darnold was awful. And there's and it would have been amazing for him to win that game playing as poorly as he did.
No, I just want to say Chris Shula clearly has Sam Darnold's number because he struggled against these guys when he was in Minnesota last year in the playoffs, and we just saw a repeat performance. So if you're out there and you got to play the Seahawks and you got to get in, you may want to go back and study what Chris Shula has done and what he's been able to do. And you talk about, they have a bunch of guys in the secondary, and Aubrey Pleasant, we talked about him, the secondary coach there. He's done a great job with whomever they've given him, and he's got these guys ready to play football, but it's the rush up front. And although they didn't get anyone down on the ground today in terms of registering a sack, they were still effective, and Dame hit it in terms of having Sam Darnold be uncomfortable in the pocket and having to see and feel where that rush was coming from. And those guys in the secondary, they were jumping routes. You saw guys like Durant.
Kobe Durant.
He was jumping routes, sitting on them, just sitting and seeing the ball come out clean, and that was because the rush was effective.
Seattle had its franchise record 10-game winning streak, snapped in this game. Pete, you brought up Matthew Stafford, who, in terms of MVP odds, shortest odds on the board. Now, he only had a $1.30, did have 2 passing touchdowns, hadn't turned the ball over lately here. Where are you at with this Rams team in terms of the NFC's elite?
Well, I mean, they're one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFC. And he didn't even do much today. He didn't have to. I mean, like we mentioned, the short fields, but he's more than capable. I told you a couple things that worry me about this Rams team. One being the lack of deep speed down the field. And I think that shows up. He's great getting the ball to Nakua. Nakua's a great receiver. Adams didn't do much today. He had some problems today. And so I think the lack of deep speed might show up, but they're physical. Their offensive line isn't great, but like we always say, they're a product of the offense, and Sean McVay is such a great play caller that I think they mask those problems if they do have them on the offensive line. Right now, they're in the contention to be the best team in the NFC.
Yeah, Tommy, and to Pete's point, a lot has been made last week about them using 13 personnel, 1 back, 3 tight ends, and we saw some of that today. We saw some 12 personnel. What Sean McVay has been able to do and what he continues to be able to do is just use the weapons that he has and create matchups for himself, right? And to get you to tip your hand early, and then that allows him to make the adjustment off of it. And he beats you with personnel packages, motions, and shifts. That's what a lot of this offense is generated from, and it's just based off of what do I have. I'll make the adjustment to what I have, because there were times where they threw the ball downfield when they had vertical guys. And in the earlier years of Sean McVay, he made sure he always had that X receiver that could stretch the field. And now they have a young guy in Tutu Atwell.
He's hurt,
well, when he's healthy, he can stretch the field, and he may get, 5 to 6 snaps a game. They're finding different ways to beat you now, and a lot of that is based off of their scheme, their personnel, and their motions and shifts.
Yeah, and I would direct that exponentially to the run game, because when I look at Kyron Williams and we talk about the problems that they have at offensive line, they don't have the guys up front to just get a hat on a hat and move people out of the way. But when they get those extra tight ends in the game, the way that they motion and then run outside zone the other way, like that creates mismatches for the defense based on the personnel that they have. And then it allows guys like Kyron Williams, Blake Corum to just churn out yards in the run game. So when you've got a quarterback that's playing as efficiently as Stafford, and then you've got a run game on top of that, along with Nakua, Adams whenever he wants to show up, the defense whenever the pass rush is going, this is a pretty complete team and one of the best in the NFC.
The one thing about the scheming up, and he's great. We saw it at the start of the game. Boom, boom. He schemed it up. I always go back to the Super Bowl when they lost to the New England Patriots. Remember, they were a high-scoring offense, and he schemed up everything. And what happened? Well, his scheme got matched up by a better scheme. And when you have that, you don't have the speed and the great players who can't win one-on-one matchups, then you're going to have problems. So that's where I'm concerned a little bit. He's fantastic at scheming it up. But remember, Belichick played the 6-man front and came up the field, and he kind of took away all that stuff. I think somebody might scheme him up. So eventually, he's got to get the ball. You mentioned that. Well, when he gets back, he's got to get the ball down the
it
field.
becomes that old adage. It becomes less about the X's and O's and about the Jimmys and Joes.
Rams' first NFC team to 8 wins. The Eagles could join them by night's end. We'll, of course, keep tabs on the Detroit-Philadelphia game. But San Francisco today went into Arizona and looked really good, Rand. And boy, oh boy, returning your Brock Purdy, your $50 million quarterback, certainly helps make that offense look better with Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, he's just so much more comfortable. He knows he knows the design, the structure of the play, where we want to go, what this concept is going to set up for later. And so if there's nothing there, he knows to take, as Dame says, to take the profit, live to see another down, because we know a quarter from now, this is going to open up something downfield. And you talk about it, immediately out the gate, the opening kickoff goes back 98 yards. That helps you out a lot when your first play from scrimmage is from the 2-yard line, basically, and you get those quick scores, and now you have a team like the Arizona Cardinals chasing points. And then, again, you have Brock Purdy back in, and now this offense is starting to get everyone back healthy. The big key is, will we see a Brandon Ayuk sighting at this season? And if we are able to, that's going to really open up this offense, because this will be the first time this year they'll have their top 3 receivers in terms of Ayuk, Pearsall, and Jawan Jennings, along with George Kittle and CMC in the backfield.
I think the biggest difference when you insert Brock Purdy is Brock's already been in this system, and so he already understands how to think in the mind of Kyle Shanahan. Whereas Mac Jones, a guy that you bring in, he's trying to teach him the way, and he's trying to guide him the philosophy and show him this is how we do it. And Mac did it at a very high level, but again, you've got a $50 million quarterback who's played in that system and already knows the mindset of the coach, the mentality, the setting up a play, running this play now, that way we can take a deep shot in the third quarter. Brock Purdy already knows these things, so it gives him a better understanding. It gives him a better opportunity to read the defense pre-snap, know where the ball is going, and just, he's like a coach on the field. He knows how to play the game within the game that Kyle Shanahan wants to play. That's the biggest difference when you have Brock Purdy between having him and Mac Jones.
Pete, if I ask you at 7-4, we're talking about offensively getting some pieces back. We know on the defensive side they've lost so much, including Fred Warner as well. Even with the optimal lineup roster-wise, can they compete with the other two in the division?
I think the defense is so bad right now. I mean, you know, look, they have so many injuries on that side of the ball and suffered some more today. I mean, and when you look at it, okay, Jacoby Brissett was 47 of 57 for 452. I mean, they couldn't stop McBride. They did whatever they want to, and they didn't get a sack. And that's what's the calling card of the 49ers during all their heyday has always been the pressure of the quarterback. They didn't get a sack
many times
today.
with 4.
Yeah, they didn't get a sack today, and that's the biggest concern for me.
Yeah, that's where it's going to come, you know, down in the end. It's only so much you can do, man. You're losing superstar after superstar. You're losing key quality backup guys that you trust to play in the football game. You're losing them every week. And so the one thing I will say, if their offense is back at full strength and with Kyle Shanahan calling the plays, they do have the ability to score a lot of points. But it's a matter of, can you get that one key stop to give you another chance to have the ability to score one more than your opponent? And at this rate, with the defense that they have to put out there, I mean, every week you look at the starting lineup, when they give you the headshots, you're like, who? Who is that? You know, because and their pro department is strong at work because they got to keep training out these guys with the amount of injuries they're getting.
Real quick, Carolina next week at home, at Cleveland, bye, home against Tennessee.
Their next 4 are good. The back end 3 are tough.
And then at Indy.
Yes.
So,
okay. But you have the ability at 7 and 4
get to 10.
to get to 10.
That gets you to 10. You're in the mix.
Okay. We did talk about a record-setting performance in this game. Jacoby Brissett, by the way, as we're taking a look at San Francisco's schedule, those 47 completions, the most in NFL history in a game, surpassing Drew Bledsoe and Jared Goff. But there's the San Francisco schedule. Easy the first 4. The next 3 to end the season will be a little bit tougher down the road. Hitting a break here on HQ. When we come back, Buffalo and Tampa Bay. 9 lead changes in this game at Orchard Park. It was a wild one. We'll talk about it next. Oh, 44-32 in Orchard Park as the Bills behind Josh Allen's 3 passing touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns. Now, he did throw 2 picks, but 3rd game in league history with those numbers. Allen did it in 2024 at the Rams, and Otto Graham did it in the 1954 NFL Championship game. Both teams enter this one 6-3, coming off losses, in dire need of a win. And in the end, Josh Allen and the hometown team come away with the double-digit victory. This is like the Pete Prisco Bowl. 2 teams he loves, 2 quarterbacks he loves, coaches he respects. You were talking about it with us watching. You said this is the way Buffalo should play. Yes, Josh Allen had 2 turnovers, but 6 total touchdowns.
You could take 2 turnovers and 6 total touchdowns every day of the week, wouldn't you? And look, I love James Cook. I think he's a really good back. And I think they do need to run the football. But they need to run the football when they need to run the football. When you need to run the football is when you have a lead. Look at the way their defense is constructed. We watched it again today. Do they stop the run ever? They don't stop the run. And if you can't stop the run, what's the best way to stop the run? Is get a lead and take advantage of your big play quarterback. And I think we saw that today. And when you do that, you turn your pass rushers loose, and we saw that late in the game. They're a better team playing with the lead. So why restrict the quarterback? Let him throw the ball. I know they say, well, you don't have any receivers, you don't have that. You can scheme stuff. We see teams all the time scheme it open. And you can take shots. Let him play free. Let him play loose. Let him use those legs like he did today. This is the Josh Allen that needs to be playing for the Buffalo Bills. If he plays like this, they have a chance to get to the Super Bowl. If they think they're going to line up and play power football and run the football with that defense and the way they stop the run, they're going home early in the postseason.
No, and I could agree with that, and especially from the standpoint of allowing Josh Allen to play more free. And when I say play more free, I'm saying play more like a Lamar Jackson-style offense where he's touching the ball or he is a part of every play and has the threat of running the football on every play, whether that's through the course of playing the quarterback position when something breaks down or on design runs. And then off of that, now you can feed the backs. You can get those lighter boxes and give James Cook these creases that we know if he hits those creases, he can go, and take it the distance. But like Pete said, this defense was constructed to play with a lead, right? And that allows those guys that they've spent a lot of money on up front to be able to pin their ears back and go get the quarterback and hopefully have the chance to make some plays on the ball on the back end, because they're still in their safety position. There's still some questions there whether they have the guys back there that they can do what we call erase plays on the back end in terms of either finishing on the football in terms of getting the ball carrier down on the ground as a last minute play, or a guy that can go back deep range, play from red line to red line and take the ball away.
So to both of y'all's point, a stat that backs up what they talk about, the Bills are a team that are better when they play ahead. They average 8 yards a play today. That is efficient, right? And then you want to look at it. There was a point in the third quarter where they had scored 28 points on 46 plays. Now, again, you want to talk about efficiency. You want to talk about scoring at a high clip. You want to talk about being explosive as an offense. That's what allows their defense to not have to worry about stopping the run. Because in 46 plays, if you can score 28 points,
I'll take it.
I'll take it any day of the week. If I'm an offensive coordinator, if I'm a defensive coordinator, I'm going to say, well, teams aren't going to be able to run the ball because they're going to be in pass mode. They're going to be playing from behind. Then we can let Greg Rousseau, Ed Oliver, when he's healthy, hopefully they'll have him back towards the end of the year, and Bosa, who's re-immersed himself at this part of his career. So again, yes, when you are averaging 8 yards a play, scoring that many points on so few plays, you want your defense to be just defending the pass, and that's what they're good at. That's their recipe to winning.
Thought on Tampa Bay, which is 1-3 after a 5-1 start. Baker Mayfield talking about lack of killer instinct. They had Sean Tucker with a fantastic day, 3 total touchdowns ran. What's the outlook here on the Bucs recently?
Baker's got to get going again. And I think today was the first time, if my memory serves me correct in watching the telecast, today was the first time we've seen Baker run the ball in 3 games. And I know he's been dealing with injury, whether it's the knee, whether it's the oblique, but him and his excitement and the fire he brings he's going to have to step up again to get this offense going, because they're going to be without Mike Evans. And then Chris Godwin, we don't know if he's going to be in or out of the lineup. And at some point, people are going to start bracketing Abuka and take him out of the game. But you mentioned the guy today, and I'm calling him Baby Dame.
Oh, Baby Damien Harris.
I'm calling him Baby Dame, Sean Tucker. I told Dame, I told Dame when he walked in, I said, there's a guy out here playing today that reminds me of you. And Dame gave me typical Dame, yeah, all right. And then Dame saw him run and was like, yeah, I can see where you can make that.
You remember what I said? I like this guy's style. I like his style. A little similarity. I had 3 touchdowns against Buffalo once before. So I see the connection that you made, and we need to give him his flowers because he had himself a day. But you're absolutely right. This team goes as Baker Mayfield's go. He's got to pick it back up. He has to, because even when you look at the stats, they had more first downs. They were 9 for 16, which is a good day. They were 1 for 1 on 4th down. They only had 2 penalties all day. So when you look at it, it's like, what did they need to do in order to win this game? Baker Mayfield's just got to play better. He's got to find a way to will this team to victory.
No sacks. That's a concern. You talk about the Bucs, the no sacks. They have to get to the quarterback, and they play the Rams next week. So that's a tough game next week for them, too.
All right, we'll hit a break here on HQ. When we return, boy, the Bucs just didn't lose. Couple that with a Carolina win, and Panthers are just a half game back of the Bucs. We'll talk about the high-scoring, nail-biting win over the Falcons next. Let's continue the NFC South conversation with Carolina and Atlanta. In overtime, Ryan Fitzgerald from 28 yards out, securing the win for the now 6-5 Panthers. That was set up by Bryce Young's 54-yard pass to Tommy Tremble, and Carolina completes the season sweep of their division rival. And don't look now, folks. Carolina just a half game back of Tampa in the NFC South as the Falcons lose their 5th straight game, another overtime loss. 3-7 now for Raheem Morris's Atlanta Falcons. All right, back here with the fellas. It was a record-setting day for Bryce Young as well, north of 400 yards passing. Dame, I'm going to give you first word in terms of the back and forth that we saw in this game that went Carolina's way at the end.
Yeah, a lot of parity, a lot of back and forth. I mean, Carolina played a good game. I've given Bryce Young his flowers before because he continues to stand in the pocket. He continues to do everything with a smile, with pride, and he goes out, throws for 448 yards. I mean, you got to tip your cap to him. They won the game. He played well. I do want to give some love to Ted McMillan, though. He's a guy.
Breakout game.
He is a guy. It was a breakout game for him, but he's been playing like this all season long, like a true wide receiver one. He hasn't gotten the love or the credit because the offense has been so poor at times, but he's that first-round receiver that they felt like they got in Xavier Legette. They whiffed on him. They go back to the drawing board. They go draft another receiver in the first round. He's delivering. This is a cornerstone piece for the Carolina Panthers moving forward.
I think if you're the Atlanta Falcons, you got to ask yourself what went wrong in this game. Now, we know Michael Penix was taken out of the game. He was hurt.
With a knee issue.
With a knee and did not return. But if you're looking at it, right, even before he left, he was 13 of 16, had 175 yards. Drake London, who also left the game at one point and did not return, but he had 7 catches, 119 yards. And then Bijan Robinson had 104 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns, and also had 39 yards receiving. And then the defense had 5 sacks. So it's like, what went wrong? How is this Atlanta Falcons team not able to finish? But you take it right back to the Carolina Panthers, and we've talked about it here on this show and other shows here on the network. This young football team is learning how to win football games, and it looks different every single time they go out and they get a win. And when we were showing the NFC South standings, and you're looking at it, the first thing that came to my mind is, who would have thought? Because they were predicted to be at the bottom with the Saints. You know, because we kind of felt like this year was going to be a down year for the Saints. But Carolina was predicted to be down there as well, and they was expected to be between Atlanta and Tampa Bay for who was going to win the division. And now Carolina is very much in this conversation. I'm really excited to see how this team is going to finish out.
Like I said, finally a big win for the short people. I knew Bryce Young could take care of it. I knew it. I knew he had it in him. I mean, I've been saying all along, didn't I, that Bryce Young would carry the torch for the short quarterbacks and the short people. He finally got it. Look, bottom line
Sounds
is
like a lot of backtracking.
he played great football today. You got to give him credit. He was banged up, too. I mean, he took some shots and kept getting up. He came back in and made plays. You can't take anything away from him. I'm going to give him all the credit in the world. When you have a game like that on the road against a division team that you fell behind, by the way, it was 21-7 at one point, give Bryce Young credit. I didn't think he had this in him. I've been critical of him. Look, the last couple of weeks haven't been great for Bryce Young.
Yeah.
And that's got to be the maddening part about it for the Panthers. You have those games where he looks lost, and then you have a game like today where he looks like he owns the field. So I give him a lot of credit. One thing about the Falcons, you said what went wrong? You were leading that game 21-7 at one point, okay? Do you see what happened to Bijan Robinson in the second half? He carried the ball 6 times for 7 yards after having 93 on 16 carries in the first half. You want to blame anybody? Blame the play calling.
And Tommy, you said it, especially in this division, this is huge for the Carolina Panthers organization to sweep the Falcons this year. That's huge, and especially it sets up this young football team as they go in the future. These young guys, like I said before, they're learning how to win, and Bryce Young is starting to turn a little bit here. We're seeing him grow up. We're seeing him mature and become that quarterback that we thought he would be as a first overall pick.
By the way, Rand, I'd like to throw it back at you, and forgive me if this has already been brought up, but just sort of the emergence and sustainability of Rico Dowdle when Chuba Hubbard was out. But even we would think when he's healthy to come back, it's an automatic switch. But they've kind of, for the most part, stuck with Rico, and he's paid off with them big time with some big plays.
I think Rico Dowdle's run style is the identity of what this Carolina Panthers team wants to be. He is the physicality of this offense, right? Pete talked about Bryce Young being a smaller quarterback. He's not going to be strong in the pocket and bring it like Josh Allen. When you see him play quarterback, there's a physical nature, and you don't see that in Bryce Young. But having Rico Dowdle out on the field, he's going to get you the tough yards. He's going to run through arm tackles. That one run that he had to catch up the sideline where he almost scored, he was a blade of grass short from being inbounds versus out of bounds. That's a physical nature. And Chuba Hubbard is a good back, But Chuba Hubbard is a zone scheme type back that needs that crease. He isn't going to run through a ton of arm tackles. So having Rico Dowdle in that lineup gives you a physical nature and allows you to create an identity.
And, I mean, he proved he's got better hands today. I mean, Chuba Hubbard, when he was in there, he had some drops. And in the most crucial play of the game for Carolina, who comes up with it? It's Rico Dowdle out of the backfield, getting them in position to kick a field goal to win. So everything that Rand just said is absolutely correct in terms of identity, but talking about riding the hot hand, I mean, Rand, you know that. That's the message in the running back room. Like, when you've got guys, like, I mean, at Alabama, I played with some of the best running backs in the country. But I couldn't get mad when they put Josh Jacobs in because he was the hot hand. So that's just the nature of the business, and Rico Dowdle has earned his opportunities.
You couldn't get mad, but you did.
Oh, I was mad as hell. I was mad as hell, just like Chuba Hubbard. I guarantee you, Chuba Hubbard's mad as hell. Hey, Rand, did we or did we not? When Rico Dowdle caught that ball on the sideline, we was over there like, man, Chuba Hubbard punching air right now. And good thing they didn't even pan to him because I know he probably was. Again, it's the nature of the business.
But by the way, Rico's physical style averaged 2.4 per rush today, in case anybody's wondering. And then Bryce Young, that's the good thing for the Panthers today. They showed when they're bread and butter running the football, they couldn't run the football. They still were able to win the game by throwing it.
Thank you, Pete.
Hey,
I
man,
will end this with.
Hey, keep us humble, man. Keep us running backs humble.
You guys are like raving about him like he ran for 170.
No, it isn't just what he did today. Again, he's given them, ever since he's been inserted in the lineup, we've seen this offense start to do this, and that's because he gave them an identity.
You know why Bryce Young can throw for 450 yards? Because Rico Dowdle, body punch. Body blow. You ever watch boxing before?
2.4
you know where guys, they punch people in the body. You ever watch boxing, UFC, where they just punch guys in the ribs and stuff like that? Well, that is a body blow. That's a body blow. It is a body blow. 2 yards here, 3 yards here. Open up the pass lanes for Bryce Young. It won.
Does Pete look like he ever beat up anybody?
Yeah.
Come on. Don't make me make fun of people on TV. Don't make me do it.
Hold Pete's head out. And
Never ever did that in my life.
You know what it is? While he's swinging like this, you just let me take this belt off.
You really think that ever happened to me in my lifetime? I guarantee it never did.
Carolina and Tampa Bay, 2 out of the last 3 games in the regular season could decide this division when it's all said and done. All right, we'll hit a break here on HQ. The Dolphins started our day from Madrid with an overtime win over the Commanders. We'll talk about the game, get an update from Madrid on the other side.
Well, if you listen real closely, you can hear the Champions League music playing around the Bernabeu. The champions! And today the champions were the Miami Dolphins. What an electric atmosphere at the Bernabeu for the league's first ever game here in Spain. And Madrid was treated to some extra football. It was the Finns gritting out an overtime win, 16-13 over the Commanders. Sun Devil Jack Jones, yes, Pete Prisco, Sun Devil Jack Jones got the pick that set up the game-winning field goal, because it's only fitting that a game being played in a soccer stadium as historic as the Bernabeu is won on a kick. Now, it certainly wasn't Tua Tagovailoa's most flashy game, but he didn't turn the ball over and he let the run game go to work. Devon Achane with back-to-back 100-yard games, while Ollie Gordon punched in the Finns' first and only touchdown of the game. So for now, it's all smiles in Miami. They enter the bye at 4-7. And yes, with a 1% chance to make the playoffs. It is certainly an uphill battle, but not impossible. Now, ironically, the second most electric moment in this one came from the Commanders quarterback, Marcus Mariota, who got the stadium on its feet after clocking nearly 20 miles per hour on a 44-yard run. Washington had their chances, but ultimately just couldn't get it done. And now with games against the Broncos and the Vikings looming, it could be a long season the rest of the way in Washington. Before I go, you know I got to give you my winners and losers. So, of course, my winner this week is Miami. They find a way to get it done. They've now won 2 in a row. And for now, it seems like Mike McDaniel is figuring it out, both in Spain and hopefully in South Florida when they return home. My loser this week is myself and my wallet, because of all the money I've spent on churros and gifts for my game day recap crew. I can't wait to see you guys next week, but I'm headed to Mallorca tomorrow. So like Mike McDaniel ended his press conference, I'm throwing up the peace sign and saying adios from Madrid, Spain. Tommy, keep those boys in line this week, and I will see you guys back in South Florida.
Yeah, a little too late for that, Haley, but thank you very much. And gifts are on the way, gentlemen, from Haley. Viva Spain.
Does she get to write off part of that trip since she brought the mic with her?
That's a good question. Travel, lodging. think food's 50%.
Oh, God.
I'm not an accountant, but
Pete, come
we
on,
took a look
man.
at the schedule after the bye week. Again, Saints, at Jets, at Steelers, and Bengals. Steelers are the only ones with a winning record. So, again, look, it's still going to be an uphill climb, Damien Harris, but they have played good football. They had Chris Greer depart, of course. Where are we at with the Dolphins right now in their recent form?
Well, they've got opportunity, but more importantly, they've got belief, Tommy Trent. You can see it. They believe in Mike McDaniel. They don't want to get rid of him. They believe in Tua. There's a lot of belief growing in this team. And when you beat the Bills in Orchard Park, in Miami at home and protect your home turf where you haven't been good, that gives you confidence moving forward. And so when I look at this Miami Dolphins team, I see the quarterback gaining confidence every week. I see the team gaining confidence around him. So it's really up to them with what they're going to do with the rest of the season.
I think for me, they're getting back to their identity, right, which is being able to run the football. Devon Achane the last 2 weeks have had over 100 yards rushing, which now opens up those in-breakers that they like to throw. And now you can get guys like Jalen Waddle the ball on the move and take advantage of his speed. But we talked about it in terms of this team always having a chance at any given point to turn around because of the explosive nature of this offense. And now, like Dame said, these guys are buying into Mike McDaniels or have already bought into Mike McDaniels and are showing his support and are starting to come around. Still need to see this defense step up and be able to stop the run. But at the end of the day, as long as you come away with a win, that's all that matters.
Why would you want Mike McDaniel to leave if you're a player? You get away with anything you want to. I mean, they have easy practices. They play great little music. If you practice hard, you get to wear the jersey. I mean, why would you want him to leave? And by the way, I think he might be keeping his job. I think if he keeps winning games, because I don't think Stephen Ross wants to fire him. I just don't. You start hearing that talk around the league from people in the league. They want to keep Mike McDaniel. He wins 2 in a row. If he can build on this and stack some wins, then I think there's a chance Mike McDaniel comes back. Here's the problem I have with that. If you're the general manager, say you're a general manager and you want that job.
Yeah, I used to be.
Right. Well, you're not anymore. Unless you want the job.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
You want the job? We can get a hold of Stephen Ross.
Good, man.
Right down the road.
Right down the street.
Right down the road.
Okay, but if you're trying to be the general manager of the Dolphins and they say, okay, we're going to keep Mike McDaniel, but you're going to get the job, is that a good situation? Because you want your own guy in there.
Hey, listen, I live by this philosophy. Everyone has a price. And when you know what that contract says, hey, Mike McDaniels looks like a great partner. But here's what I want to broker. You always mention their cute little music that they play. What if we could set up for you to be the DJ at a Dolphins practice? Would that help?
No,
because you were DJing in here before we
give Prisco the playlist.
By the way, if I had my druthers, I'd turn the music off at practice. I'm old school. I'm old school.
Just.
Did you have music at Alabama?
We did not.
Thank you.
I was going to say this is going to be one of the rare cases of me agreeing with Pete Prisco. No
He said rare.
Rare. Very rare.
Chalk it up as one of your
Rare.
rare wins.
Rare. Get the music out. I mean, hey, listen, when you're winning, you can do whatever you want.
But you had no music at Alabama. Did Bill have music at his practices?
For warm-ups.
And then that's it, right? When you practice, you practice.
When you practice,
I'm
you
a big
practice.
believer in that. I'm okay with warm-ups. Practice, you practice.
By the way, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Tommy. Because I mean, it's the new way.
Yeah.
It's the new way. It's the new way. It's the new way of adjusting to today's player.
Yeah.
Right. We all came up in an era where we didn't play music, and if we did play music, it was the white noise simulating crowd noise.
Right.
But in today's player, and we're talking of attention spans, this is what gets them going. This is what motivates them for practice. So whatever gets you rep and gets you ready for practice.
Maybe that's why we have 92 million pre-snap penalties every week, right? I mean, if you didn't play music,
go ahead,
you pay
Tommy.
attention.
Go ahead, Tommy.
The only thing I was going to say, I don't know what they're playing the Commanders facility, but that's 6 straight losses now for Washington. Pete Prisco.
Get the shovel and dig a hole because the Commanders are going in. They're done. They're finished. They're
From
done.
NFC Championship to 6 feet under, you're ready to put them down already?
Yeah, they're done.
Stick a fork in them?
And by the way, they're done not because Jaden Daniels isn't there. They're done because their defense is awful. They're done.
They're old, slow.
They're bad.
Can't do anything.
It's a bad team
Can't cover
right now.
anybody.
Isn't it
the
amazing you
turnaround.
go that quick, how quick
Right.
that turns?
NFL will humble you.
And remember
Quickly.
last year, everybody, Adam Peters, the greatest GM in the world. Look at Dan Quinn. It's a great situation. Now look at it. Do they still think it's great? Quick.
This guy is on one.
He is. He's on it tonight, Rand. He's on it, Rand.
You go from the penthouse to the outhouse in a hurry in the NFL.
Must be that meatball sub that we had.
It's true.
That's going to the outhouse. How soon do?
Oh, I'm done.
On that note,
Yeah, let's go somewhere else, please.
Hey, I got my rag right here, just in case, man. Just in case. Keep it on my laptop.
oh my goodness. All right,
Where did we just
let's go with the Ravens game with the Browns, okay? Let's move on to talk about what happened with there. Behind you fellas there is Shedeur Sanders, who made his NFL debut today. Dylan Gabriel exited the game with a concussion right now. Pete, I'm going to give you first word of what we saw between Baltimore and Cleveland in the late slate.
It was a bad game, bad football game on both sides. And I give the Cleveland defense a lot of credit because they got after Lamar Jackson today. They really did. And Myles Garrett, oh my God, 4 sacks. He was unblockable today. And Lamar Jackson didn't play very well. And at some point, you had to think that the Ravens were going to get back into it, and they did. And so I give them credit. That was a have-to game for the Ravens. If they were going to have any chance to be a playoff team, they had to find a way to win that game, and they came back. Look, I know everybody wants to talk about Shedeur Sanders, and they've waited for Shedeur Sanders, and they've wanted to see Shedeur Sanders. Well, you saw him, and what did you see? You saw a lot of bad, and you saw some good. And the reality is, it's an insult to the coaching staff to think that they're not playing him when he's better than the other guy. They know what they have in him. And I think the first time people out there who've been crying and just raving about getting him on the field saw the reality of it. He has a long way to go. I'm not going to say look, you throw a kid in there in that situation, it's hard to go in there and win games and make plays, but he wasn't very good. He was just, late in the game he made a couple throws, but aside from that, he wasn't very good.
Yeah, and I would just say with the Baltimore Ravens, they didn't play the cleanest game on offense. You were in the red zone 4 times. You only scored a touchdown on 1 of those. And then you were 5 of 13 on 3rd down. That isn't Baltimore Ravens type offense. And you turned the ball over 3 times. But like you said, Tommy, this was a game where they had to have it. Mm-hmm. And we flashed the schedule up. It's starting to turn, and now we don't know what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh and what that's going to look like. This
Which
team,
we'll get to, yeah.
Yeah, this team is steadily climbing out of that 1-5 hole that they dug for themselves because you're getting Lamar Jackson back. And no, he didn't play well today, but just the threat of having him on the field really helps that football team.
It helps, but I just want to ask a question. What the hell is wrong with Lamar Jackson? Truly, because when I watch him play, I see 2 things. I see him playing scared and hesitant, and I see him frustrated after every single drive that doesn't end with 7 points. So when I talk about him playing timid, he wasn't climbing the pocket today. He wasn't extending plays with his legs and letting his receivers uncover. And we were sitting there asking each other, why? There were lanes. There were opportunities for him to tuck and run. Is he still worried about the hamstring? Are there other things going on, other ailments? I mean, we know this is a dangerous game. Nobody's playing at 100%. Is that going on? And then again, I turn to the frustration. I mean, there's a lot of snapping of the chin strap, and you can see the visible frustration on his face every time he goes to the bench. Now, I get it. Your team isn't where you want them to be. You've dug yourselves a hole. You're trying to get out of it. But you got to do that with a positive mentality. And I'm not using this as an opportunity to bash Lamar. I just genuinely want to know what's going on because they have a chance. But he's got to be at his absolute best. And when you're playing timid and when you're not aggressive, when you're not confident in what you're doing, when you're so frustrated, it's hard to be that positive example on the field.
Did you guys see then anything different than an elite defense with Myles Garrett on one today with multiple sacks, given what Dame was saying about Lamar Jackson?
Well, it's hard to throw when you're on your back and you have pressure in your face all the time. And you look, he had a couple of tip balls that were, bad plays and turned into interceptions. And he just didn't look, he never looked comfortable. And he hasn't really looked that comfortable even when he's come back. And I think that hamstring, I think the hamstring might still be an issue, and he doesn't take off and run like he did and get outside the pocket. And so, how many times did he run today? It wasn't many times. And you look at it, look, Myles Garrett was in the backfield all damn day. He had 4 sacks and 5 tackles for loss. He was everywhere. So it's hard to throw. And there were other guys getting pushed as well. It was hard to throw for him today. I think this Ravens team, though, and I've said it time and again, I think they got caught up in what the playoffs are all about because they've been really great in the regular season the last couple of years. Lamar Jackson's been phenomenal the last couple of years, MVP-type seasons. And what happens, they get to the postseason and they flame out. Well, this year, maybe it's the opposite. Maybe they're not so great in the regular season, and they haven't played up to their expectations. They got Derrick Henry going a little bit today. And now as they build and the schedule gets soft and they get to the postseason, if this team gets to the postseason, and I think they will, who's going to want to play them?
Nobody.
If you look at them and you compare them to the Denver Broncos and New England Patriots, they get in. Who would you rather play? Would you rather play if you're another team? Would you rather play the Patriots, the Ravens, or the Broncos? Who would you rather play?
Well, I was going to say, from the standpoint of what you were saying, Pete. For one, let's go back to Lamar. We talked about the hamstring, and we talked about when the injury occurred. What version of him are we going to see coming when he gets back? Is he going to be worried about straining that hamstring again? And let's not forget, he missed practice this week with a knee.
That's right.
And so now you add in, we don't know if it's the same knee on the hamstring, whatever the case may be, but nonetheless, it's a lower extremity injury, which his lower body, his ability to run is what allows him to be great at what he does. But to your question, I would be more worried about playing this Baltimore Ravens offense than I would their defense.
Yes.
Because at this point, their defense hasn't stepped up and made a ton of plays. They've had a ton of guys in and out of the lineup on all levels of the defense. And so you talked about playing a Patriots defense, a Baltimore Ravens defense, and who was the other team you said?
Denver Broncos.
And Denver Broncos. This Baltimore Ravens defense, I would put them at the top of the list in terms of I would rather play those two defenses.
No, Denver. Denver's better.
No, I said I would rather play.
I
would rather play the Baltimore Ravens defense than those other two.
And I would go back to the same things. I mean, I'm going to remove the Broncos, but when you look at the Patriots, right, when you compare to them, they have an identity on offense. They know what they want to do. They know what they want to be. I'll go back to even before Lamar Jackson got hurt. The first couple games of the season, it didn't look like he was going to have that typical Lamar Jackson type season, right? They weren't having as much success on offense. They weren't running the ball as well. They got into some trouble with Derrick Henry and the ball security issues, and Lamar was still frustrated. So again, like I said earlier, this isn't about like, Lamar, you're doing something wrong, but it's again like I want to get into his mind. I want to see what his mindset is, because again, you've got a chance. Everything that you want is in front of you, and you've got to be the main orchestrator of getting something going, and then the guys have to follow it.
He ran 4 times for 10 yards today. That's not Lamar Jackson.
No.
And then that begs the other question: if Lamar can't move like he's moved in the past, is he ordinary as a quarterback? I mean, that's right. If he doesn't have the threat to run, is he ordinary as a quarterback? What would your answer to that question be? I would say no still. Some people might sit there and say yes, he's not the same guy. Well, he's clearly not the same guy.
And the thing is, we haven't had to see it that much. I mean, we haven't had to, and I think today would probably be the first example of where I would say that Lamar did look pedestrian as a passer without having the threat to use his legs. So on a one-game sample, I would say I'm not necessarily confident in his passing abilities based on today, but he leads the NFL in completion percent or in quarterback rating all time for a reason.
Let's hope, for the sake of the Baltimore Ravens, he gets his ability to move back, because they need it.
Yeah, so it was reflective from the odds makers. Even when they were 1-5, they gave respect in the betting markets to win the division for this very reason, to get 4 straight wins, to get to 5-5. And then the ceiling for this team, I think we've all agreed, is a dangerous one when it comes to potential playoff matchups against Lamar Jackson and company. Let's get to Bengals and Steelers, which went the way of Pittsburgh today, but there's so much to unpack from this game. There's Aaron Rodgers' injury. There's an incident between Jamar Chase and Jalen Ramsey. Let me just deliver the Rodgers news first from our NFL insider Jonathan Jones, reporting that left wrist injury not expected to be a long-term issue, as he was injured late in that first half. Mason Rudolph did come into the game, so that's something to pass along, which I know we can maybe hit upon when we talk about Pittsburgh. But really the conversation everyone is having right now on our network, on social media, is the Jalen Ramsey exit of the game. At the moment, at the time, seemed one thing, and then social media with one of our CBS local affiliates in Cincinnati showing the field level of another thing with the spitting incident involving Jamar Chase. But let's hear from Chase and Ramsey here from after the game.
He spit on me, so it's up. I don't give a about football after that, respectfully.
Exchanging words.
You were saying that you spit on him. Did you spit on him?
I ain't never opened my mouth to that guy.
What do you think prompted the reaction from him?
Well, he don't like some of the words I told him. We've been going back and forth the whole time, so I'm sure some got under his skin.
All right, so you heard from both sides, including Jamar Chase, who denies it. Austin Brisky from CBS out in Cincinnati has that video on social media. Dame, I'm going to give you first word. You heard from both guys. You saw what happened in the game. You saw the video on social media. Give me your thoughts here.
Now, why would Jamar Chase sit up there in front of all them microphones and God himself and lie? With all these cameras, with all this access we got to seeing every inch, every blade of grass on a football field with the technology we have, we gonna see it. Why lie? Why lie? Number two, most importantly, what is up with dudes spitting on each other nowadays?
Yeah, that's gross.
What is up with that? What's up with that? Because first of all, Pete, you made a point. That's assault.
It's assault.
On the street. That's assault. Assault. But above anything, it's one of the most disgusting and dehumanizing things that you can do to another human being. Like, when did all of a sudden this become cool? Like, when you exchanging words with somebody, you in the heat of a battle, when did it become the cool to just be like, and spit on somebody? That's just lame behavior. And I love Jamar Chase. He's one of the best players in the National Football League, but I got to tell it like it is. That's lame behavior.
Listen, you talk about us on the football field. I'm saying us. I'm putting my former player hat on. We always talk about being brothers and it being a brotherhood and protecting your brother, and that we never want to see anything happen to one of our brothers. But you talk about one of the most disrespectful things you could do to another human, which is spit on them. Now, I'll say this. He said he didn't do it.
Yeah, all
Maybe it was AI.
Yeah, all right.
I don't know.
All right.
You're right.
I'm not.
Was he screaming and spit came out?
Pete, you saw the video.
He looked like he spit on.
I was going to say the volume in which I saw of saliva that came out of his mouth. I don't know anybody that.
This ain't even funny, but
I don't know anybody that talks and that much saliva comes out of your mouth.
No.
Again, here's where I'll go with it. And I'm just going to cut it short like this. This is something that the leadership of both of these organizations need to get involved in, and there is a conversation that needs to be had between Jamar Chase and Jalen Ramsey, because the level of disrespect that this was just shown, this is something that could escalate outside of the football field, and we don't need it to go to that route. So from me to you, both organizations need to step in and create a conversation between these two men, because we don't want to see this escalate outside of the game.
You know who used to spit on people? When you were in second grade, some kid backed in a corner, he always ended up spitting. That's who spit. This is like a grade school fight. That's what that is. Why would you ever? I'm with you guys. It's one of the most vile, disgusting things you could do. And I said it was assault because you've seen people get arrested for spitting in somebody else's face. That is assault. It's just vile and disgusting. There's no place in the game for it. And by the way, when you look at what Ramsey did, if he indeed spit in his face, which it looks like he did, Ramsey was a little controlled, actually, in what his reaction should have been.
Yeah.
Because he didn't go after him the way he should have gone after him if he did spit in his face.
I'm gonna tell you, go back and listen to what Jalen said. He said, he spit on me and it's up.
I don't care about football after that.
But that's why I just said what I said. There's a coded language in there that not everyone speaks. But the fact that he just said, when he spit on me, it's up. Translation, I don't give up about anything at that standpoint. You just disrespected me as a man.
Kind of held back, though, considering what he said.
But that's why I said him showing restraint on the field could potentially lead to something happening elsewhere. So that's why I said the leadership in both of these organizations need to step in and initiate a conversation.
I agree with you, because I'll just say this. As a player, if you spit on me and we don't handle it in that moment, we're going to try to find a moment to handle that. Come to whatever agreement or settling of the differences that we have, we're going to find time for that. Because that, again, we saw it from Jalen Ramsey. Like, this isn't a football player thing. This isn't a culture thing. This is just about being a man and not letting somebody spit on you. Simple as that.
We were showing you the video, the CBS broadcast. The video I was mentioning that you can find on social media, actually a Fox affiliate, but you can find that on Twitter. The wrist injury for Aaron Rodgers, again, our insider Jonathan Jones saying it's not long-term. Pete, should there be any level of concern for that injury?
Oh, yeah, there should be definitely level of concern. This is a team that needs to win every game, or at least stay in the race. You know the Ravens are coming right down the pipe, right at you. So, yeah, it's a concern. I don't know what the problem will be with the left hand. Now, if it was his right hand, it would be a significant issue. But what about taking snaps, and how long will he miss? If he casts it up, what's the extent of the injury? We don't know all that just yet. But I'm with him. I don't think it's going to be long-term, because it's the non-throwing hand. Yeah,
though, I listen to everything in terms of the language. And saying that it's not going to be long-term, meaning we know short-term IR is 4 weeks. Long-term means you're going to be out for the season. So to me, that signifies somewhere in that 3 to 4 week range. Let's hope not. But again, this is key, because this offense has already been struggling with Aaron Rodgers,
Rudolph
at
played
the
better
helm.
today.
Rudolph played better, but now, again, it's a situation now you get their next opponent has a week to prepare for Rudolph and create a game plan to say, hey, Mason Rudolph, you have to be the one to go out and beat us today. So that is going to be a huge, huge injury, like Pete said, especially now that Baltimore is starting to get healthy and they're getting back on track.
Yeah, and I mean, we're missing the main point. Aaron Rodgers ain't no spring chicken. Like, this is an old man we're talking about. Like, respect to the elderly, you included, Pete. But at the end of the day, like, he might not heal the same way he would if he was 27 or 28 years old.
How old are you?
28.
Okay, well, multiply by 3 because that's how many years your body gets beat up by playing in the NFL. So you're 70.
Okay, so how old is Aaron Rodgers? To my point, again, it makes it a bigger injury, and we have to pay more attention to it because Aaron Rodgers, he is old.
Well said for a 76-year-old.
We'll continue to figure out the Prisco algorithm when we get done. We'll hit a break here on HQ. When we come back, Chicago Bears yet another fourth quarter comeback. That's 3 straight for Chicago at Minneapolis, getting some revenge today. Welcome back to HQ. The Bears are 7-3, and they're actually 7-1 in their last 8 after starting the season 0-2. Don't poke the bear. Fourth quarter comebacks, boy, who could forget still that Bengals finish? Giants, and now today at the Vikings, 19-17, trailing with less than a minute left to go. Back here with Pete Prisco, Rand Carthon, and Damien Harris. I'm Tommy Tran. Rand, I'm going to give you first word. Chicago playing some good ball right now. Got a little revenge from earlier in the season when J.J. McCarthy went to their place and beat them.
Like you just said, Tommy, don't poke the bear. And we're getting to the point now where if this Chicago offense gets the ball and there's time left on the clock, you feel like they have a chance to win. And today is, specifically, their special teams came up huge. Devin Duvernay getting a big return to get them on the plus side of the field. So now, as an offense, you only need 10 to 15 yards, and now you're in Cairo Santos's range and you're able to get the field goal. So this is another team like the Carolina Panthers. They're learning how to win football games.
You know what I loved about this game, Tommy Tran, for the Chicago Bears? 180 passing yards, 140 rushing yards. That's harmony. That's balance. That's being two-dimensional. When you move forward in the season, there's going to be a defense that takes away your run game. Well, you can be confident in Caleb Williams to orchestrate the pass game. Same with the pass game. If that's taken away, DeAndre Swift is running the ball better than he has in his career right now, in my opinion. So the buy-in from this team, what they're doing on offense, they're putting things together to where they can do things on either side, running the ball, throwing the ball. That makes them a good team.
Pete, let me give you the Minnesota aspect of this right now. The Vikings take after today's loss.
They have a J.J. McCarthy problem. I mean, that's as simple as it is. And I know he's only played a short period of time, but, let's go back to the Bears game the last time. And at the end of that game, everybody was raving about him because look at it. He arrived. He's going to be a star. And then he got hurt, and he hasn't been the same quarterback. He's just not that good right now. And you look at the numbers, 16-32, 150, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Bad for most of the game, but give him credit for the drive at the end of the game. He made the drive to go get the go-ahead points. They probably should have been game-winning points when you really look at it. They weren't. But right now, it's just not good enough. When you have those receivers, those guys, Jefferson and that Addison. And Naylor and Hawkins, if you have that group, you're supposed to score a lot more points. You're supposed to be able to throw the football down the field. And remember, Sam Darnold wasn't good today, but they let him go out the door. Daniel Jones was in that building. They tried to keep him, but he's now in Indianapolis, and they have J.J. McCarthy. Are the Vikings? That's a legitimate question. Viking fans, are you happy about having J.J. McCarthy as your quarterback? And the answer to that question probably right now would be no.
Looks like Justin Jefferson feels the same with that frustration he was showing today. And again, that's not to throw on J.J. McCarthy. That's just more about when Pete says they have a quarterback problem. We saw the frustration of their number 1 receiver today, so it's evident.
If we talk about the NFC North, we know the Lions are in action right now. The Packers did get the win at MetLife against the Giants. Pete Prisco, throw it back at you. Josh Jacobs was injured in this game, but Jordan Love came through at the end when they needed him the most.
Yeah, and it wasn't pretty. I mean, but this is the kind of game, we'll go back a couple weeks ago, they lost to Carolina at home. You have to win these kind of games, and they found a way to get it done. They still have a lot of good football left in them. I believe that. I don't think we've come close to seeing the best of the Packers. It's still to come. This wasn't one of their best performances, but you found a way to win a game on the road, and that's all that matters.
But how long are we going to be waiting?
Until you get guys back.
How long are we going to be waiting? Because Josh Jacobs hasn't been hurt all year.
No, but here's part of the problem with their offensive game plan. They run the ball too much on first down. And they did it on Monday night game, and you got to get away from that. You got to get to where you're playing to score points rather than protect the quarterback.
Let me ask you this, the same way I would ask Green Bay Packers fans. Just, are you confident that Jordan Love can get you there?
When he plays free and loose, I think he can. I think when they put him in obvious passing situations, not going to happen.
Okay.
Jordan Love left the game for a little bit. Malik Willis actually came in and had a touchdown himself. Ryan, quick thought on the Packers here?
Yeah, I'm just ready to see what this team is going to look like in its totality when everyone is healthy. Because to me, it's too many moving parts at this point for their offense in terms of who's healthy, who's in, who's out. I want to see what this football team is going to look like in Week 14, Week 15, when they should have all their guys back. I'm still not completely sold from the standpoint of this offense being able to, take a stronghold, especially once you get into the tournament. But today, again, efficient, 7 of 11 on third down, but most importantly, they were 4 for 4 in the red zone.
That's basically all I'm saying. I'm just not sold yet. And Jordan Love and the Packers in totality, I mean, when they traded for Micah Parsons, everybody just penciled him in for the Super Bowl. I was like, I don't know. That doesn't guarantee them anything. I mean, offensively, they still have a ways to go. That's my point. I'm not confident yet. But I also don't think that we should be so on the train of, oh, well, when they get all their players back, when they get healthy, it's gonna click. We can't expect every team that goes through injuries to turn into the San Francisco 49ers when they get players back and then all of a sudden they just start scoring a lot of points, winning all their football games. Like, that it worked out well for them, but we can't guarantee that for every team.
No, philosophy has to change.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Look, Josh Jacobs is a nice runner. You're not winning the Super Bowl by running it through Josh Jacobs. You're just not. You got to throw the football.
You got to throw it around. By the way, Jameis Winston started this game as the Giants still looking for Jackson Dart to clear his health issues to get back on the field. We'll hit our break here on HQ when we come back. Chargers, Jaguars. Get the fellas' thoughts on Jacksonville's victory over the Bolts in the fashion of a 35-6 final. Let's go AFC South now here on HQ. Here's a look at the standings. Colts are on a bye week at 8-2. Jaguars got the victory over the Chargers, which we'll talk about. Then Texans and Titans went at it in a surprisingly close game out in Nashville. All right, back here with the fellas to talk about the Jags. 35-6. It was ran in terms of like statistics for points, blowouts, yards. It was the worst game for Justin Herbert with this particular team. Why was Jacksonville so dominant today in your eyes?
For whatever reason, the Chargers just came out flat.
Yeah.
And you just didn't feel them. They had 135 yards of total offense. Their time of possession today was 22 minutes and 5 seconds. That's only 45 plays on the game. That's not Los Angeles Chargers football. And to me, this is why I have been outspoken in terms of not wanting to buy stock in the Los Angeles Chargers, because it's Pete coined the term at the very beginning. Chargering. It's a week of oh, they're here, they're going to take the next step, and then it's the lull. So it's a lot of ebbs and flows with this Chargers offense, and we saw them come out east earlier this season and play the Titans in a close game early, and then they found a way to pull away late. But then anytime they have to come across this way, it's that lull. And to me, if you got a guy like Justin Herbert that's supposed to be the creme de la creme, the elite, you got to find a way to win these tight football games.
I don't even think I agree with you in the terms of its ebbs and flows, but the highs are too high and the lows are way too low. I mean, 1 week, Justin Herbert looks like the MVP without Rashawn Slater, without Joe Alt, without a running game. He looks like the best quarterback in football, finding a way to win. Defensively, they find ways to get it done at times. Quentin Johnson, who has had a dropping problem since he entered the league, he'll go weeks without a drop. And then it's 1 week where you've got, again, to Rand's point, I'm going to hit it on again, 135 yards of total offense. Justin Herbert was your leading rusher with 20 yards. This was such a bad loss for the Chargers because they completely lost their identity. They got blown out of the stadium, but in the process, they lost their identity of who they were. And to me, that's worse than the scoreboard implicated.
And for Jacksonville, to flip it over, this was a real defining moment for Liam Cohn. And the reason I say that is you blew a 19-point fourth quarter lead to Davis Mills last week. And you got a bunch of young guys on that team. They could have folded up the shop. And they said, okay, we're sinking again. It's the same old stuff. And what did they do? They came out and played maybe their best game of the year against a team, like you said, that people were crowning after they did what they did last week as one of the playoff teams. It was impressive because this was a defense that didn't play well last week in the fourth quarter, didn't get any pressure. They got pressure. They had 3 sacks today. They actually got good plays from the passing game, which they hadn't been getting. Trevor Lawrence looked as good as he's looked all year. And all of a sudden you look up, and they ran the ball for 160 yards, 170 yards. This was as good a performance as they've had. And you know what? With the schedule being what it is, we keep talking about the Chargers and the Chiefs. You look at Jacksonville's schedule: at Arizona, at Tennessee, home against the Colts. And by the way, the Colts are good. They never beat them in Jacksonville, even when they've been really, really good. And then home against the Jets. This team is primed. If they can win, I think they can win 3 of the next 4 and maybe be a playoff team.
Yeah. I want to give some love real quick to my boy, my former teammate, Jacoby Myers, played with him in New England. He is showing up on the stat sheet in the second game. When they interviewed him before his first game, he said, listen, I just want to come in here, block in the run game, do whatever the team needs me to do. Showing up on the stat sheet already, 5 receptions, 64 yards. He's going to be a big piece to help Trevor Lawrence take that next step.
We're learning a lot of teams who wanted Jacoby Myers could use Jacoby Myers, and Jacksonville's certainly happy that they have him. Here's a look at the schedule, again, that Pete Prisco was talking about for the 6-4 Jacksonville team. 2 games against the Colts the rest of the way, and both teams with the Titans as well. Welcome back to HQ, where Week 11 was eventful, to say the least, here on Sunday. Still got Sunday night and Monday night, but we're tackling winners and losers with the fellas here. And Pete Prisco, you get to start us off with the winners. Team award for you this week.
Denver Broncos. Look, I thought the Chiefs would go in there and win that game. And I've been a critic of the Broncos at times because I don't think they do enough offensively. But I got to give them their tons of credit for what they did today. And look, their defense has given up 17 points a game on the year. That's going to get you deep into the postseason if you can continue to do that. I still think they need more out of Bo Nix. He played better today, but this offense needs more. But, hey, you beat the Chiefs. You have a full command of that division right now.
Yeah, and I'm going with Bryce Young. We mentioned it earlier, 31 of 45, 448 yards, 3 touchdowns. Most importantly, no interceptions. He brought the team from behind. He was in and out of the lineup in terms of just being hurt, but he continues to overcome adversity and lead this team to a 6-5 record. They're above 500 and for the first time in God knows how long. So he played lights out today and played in a fashion in which his team needed him to. So I went with Bryce Young.
I'm going Kyle Shanahan. I mean, you got your tight end back. CMC is healthy. You get Brock Purdy back, and we've sat here and said time after time, what are the 49ers going to look like when Brock Purdy is back in the lineup? Well, we saw it. It was on display today. Do not sleep on the San Francisco 49ers.
Real quick, Kyle Shanahan has never been a coach of the year. I think he needs to be. I think he needs to be in that conversation, especially with everything that has gone on around that football team. We got your back, Kyle. Don't worry about it.
You certainly do, and so does Niner Empire there. I will go with Devon Achane from earlier today, back-to-back 165 or more scrimmage yards. Hadn't been done since Jay Ajayi. Makes you wonder what happened to his usage from early in the year. This was a guy last year, had the best yards per carry, was certainly a weapon when they were boat racing people. Maybe too little, too late, but the Dolphins have been playing good ball lately, and Devon Achane is a big reason why. So he is my winner. Now we'll go losers. We'll come back around the bend. I will start things off with the Atlanta Falcons. We talked about this before. It just seems like a long time ago that they beat the Buffalo Bills, and they were looking good with Drake London and Bijan Robinson. And boy, they just found ways to lose. Today was another example of that. So the Falcons at 3-7 do not look good. They are my loser this week.
I'm going to my former team, the Buffalo Bills. They're not my loser in totality, but Keon Coleman, it's time to grow up. Rand, we've had this conversation about other players. It is time for Keon Coleman to be a professional and understand the opportunity that's in front of him. He was late to a meeting before. He was suspended for a quarter. He's late again, suspended for a whole game. Now, what does that do? That limits your opportunities. It gives guys like Terrell Shavers, shout out to you, Money Rel, former teammate at Bama, he's gone from transferring from school to school, a P squad guy, and now he's found himself a spot on the roster because of Keon Coleman's antics and not being on the field. So that's what the NFL is. It's a business. It's a next man up. If Keon Coleman can't get it together, they'll find somebody else to do it. So, Keon, brother, it's time to grow up.
And I'm going with the Los Angeles Chargers. You lost by 29 points. You only scored 6 points. You had 135 yards total offense and 93 yards passing. All those numbers are the worst in Chargers history with Justin Herbert at quarterback. That can't happen, especially for a team that's fighting to win the AFC West and to earn a spot in the tournament. The way they played today, that ain't it. So I went with the Los Angeles Chargers.
And I'm going with Sam Darnold. Look, you can't play. You can't play that. You are what you are. You can't play. You can't play that way. And I've really said how great he's played this year. He was averaging 9.6 per attempt. He's driving the ball down the field. Today, he threw it 4 times into the stomach of defensive backs. And by the way, sometimes you look at an interception and you go, well, that wasn't that bad a throw. A guy made a great play on it. These were terrible, terrible decisions and throws, all 4 of them. And the bottom line is, Seattle still had a chance to win that game, which tells you how good their defense is, by the way. This is a game, if he plays like as close to his normal self so far this year, they would have won the game. 4 interceptions can't happen.
Well, according to you, what we saw today, that's who he is.
No, well, it's part of who he is. You got to admit, you all held it back. I said it all along. At some point, he was going to turn into Sam Darnold. Today, he turned into Sam Darnold.
For week 11.
Now, let's see if he can get back out from underneath it.
He'll still have a handful of weeks and maybe the postseason to be a winner back in Pete Prisco's good graces. All right, that is a wrap-up of winners and losers here on CBS Sports HQ. A reminder about game day recap. Haley will be back here after her trip from Madrid.
We appreciate you, Tommy.
Yes, sir. Clap it up for Tommy Tran, ladies and gentlemen.
And producer Jack for letting me hang here. I may or may not have had like 3 Celsiuses to stay awake.
This is way past your bedtime, huh?
I'm usually asleep and waking up sometime during Sunday Night Football with my 1-year-old. So that's usually the game. But a lot of fun here. Keep it right here on CBS Sports HQ. Much more still to come, folks. We'll see you.
Bang.